technologist from the Philippines, and I moved to Norway last year. Today I'll share a step-by-step process on how you too can move to Norway as a healthcare professional. Whether you're a nurse, physical therapist, the process is quite similar. When I first started applying, I didn't have anyone to guide me. I tried searching for videos and guides, but I didn't find anything helpful. Basically, I just winged it. And once I got here, I made a promise that I would make a video to guide others. Norway has a high demand for healthcare professionals, especially for bioengineers, which is what we're called in Norway. Bioengineer is a protected title, meaning you need to have authorization for it. And you can get this by applying through Helsedirektoratet. It's the Directorate of Health in Norway, and they're the ones that will be assessing your education if you have enough qualification. So what's the process to get started? First, you'll need to go to Helsedirektoratets website at Helsedirektoratet.no. It's all in Norwegian, but you can just click on the menu to change it to English. Then you scroll down and click Apply for Authorization and License. Here, you'll see which documents you need to submit, how to apply, processing time, and how much it costs. So just click Choose Profession. Here you can see the different healthcare professions. So for medical laboratory technologist, it's bioengineer. And then got your basic health education from outside EU. Then here you just need to read everything. The entire process consists of first submitting initial application to Helsedirektoratet. Then they will give you a list of what you need to do, which is learning the language and taking extra courses. They will give you 3 years to complete this, and then after that you just submit your papers again to Helsedirektoratet showing that you have completed this, and then they will give you your authorization. So the documents you need to submit to Helsedirektoratet includes your diploma, transcript of records, curriculum overview, work experience, and country-specific licenses or state exams you've passed. With the required documents, you can get this from your school registrar. The course description provides an overview of the subjects in your course. Then the syllabus, it's a thick document detailing all the lessons learned, learning outcomes, and books used in each subject. It costs around 2,000 to 3,000 peso. And lastly, your certificate of internship, which details all the areas where you completed your lab work. So this needs to specify how many hours you had in each area and how many hours in total for the entire internship. Now, with the additional documents, they're not required, but they're highly recommended as it will help you when you start taking the extra courses later on. The certificate of employment, it needs to be printed under the company's letterhead and signed by the HR or the manager, and it should also contain your job description. Now, what I did, since my COE didn't have job description, I wrote it myself and just asked the HR to sign it. So you could do that too if necessary, or just ask the HR yourself. Now with the PRC license, you just need to scan your license. That's it. No need for verification and stamping and stuff. With the board rating and passing, you can just get it from the PRC. So ASCP is not required. I have ASCP and I thought it would make a difference, but it didn't. I still needed to take the extra courses. But if you have courses in biosafety or anything that you think might be relevant, you could try to include it and it might help your case. And work experience, so this one is not required, but it's also a plus because it will help you a lot when you're applying for a job and when you're taking the extra courses. So for me, since I have a lot of experience in clinical chemistry already, I didn't need to retake the internship in that area. And when I applied for job, I also got a higher salary because they counted my experience in the Philippines. And lastly, with IELTS, it is not required as long as you have a document that states that English was the medium of instruction used in your university. You need to have this once you're applying for the extra courses. You just need to scan all of this. If the document is in portrait, you also need to submit it in portrait, and it needs to be colored. Also, if a document contains multiple pages, you need to merge them and submit it as one. Processing takes around 11 months and it costs 1,665 kroner, which is approximately 9,000 peso. After this, you can start applying for your visa. So your entry to Norway will be a student visa, which is specifically student visa for skilled workers requiring additional education to obtain authorization. I'll go into more detail about this in the next video. So the first step is learning Norwegian. Norwegian. Language is the key here because if you want to work in the healthcare setting, you need to be able to communicate with your patients. So there are 6 levels in Norwegian language proficiency: A1, A2, B1, B2, C1, and C2. But we only need to reach the B2 level. B2 means you're able to read and understand the procedures as well as communicate with the patients and understand what they're trying to tell you. Each course costs around 6,000 kroner per level, and if you enroll in university, it can go as high up to 18,000 kroner per level. When you add up the total and convert it to peso, it becomes really expensive. For me, I started learning Norwegian while I was still in the Philippines. While I was waiting for my decision letter from Helsedirektoratet, I also started learning Norwegian right away, from A0 to B1, and then once I got to Norway, I just applied for the B2 course. There are a lot of free resources online, but once you're in Norway, you need to enroll in a school that is approved by UDI. I recommend you do the same because Norwegian classes are really expensive. For some people, the 3 years that Helsedirektoratet will give isn't enough to learn the language. After that, you need to take the Norskprøve, which is the Norwegian language exam, and you can only take this in Norway. So Norskprøve is just like IELTS. There's reading, writing, listening, and speaking. Now this one costs from 800 to 2,000 kroner depending on which city you take it. And then you need to get B2 in all the subtests. If you take your Norwegian classes in the university, you can get exempted for this. But for me, I took the Norskprøve instead. Then the next step is taking the complementary course. This complementary course is for medical technologists with education from outside EU. And this specific course is only available in Oslo, which is at Oslo Metropolitan University. For some profession like nurses, they can take it both in Trondheim and in Oslo. So this course is a 1-year program, and the entire program is taught in Norwegian. I'm currently in this step, and the subject you will be taking depends on which subjects the program coordinators think you need. So don't worry, you won't be taking everything that is listed on the website. For me, I have a course in molecular genetics, and then we also had subjects about the Norwegian healthcare laws, which is really useful. So the program combines both theory and practical. It's a mix of classroom lessons and lab work, and there will also be a 7-week internship program, and the program coordinator will also be arranging this for you. And then lastly is the course in Nasjonalfag. It's about the Norwegian healthcare system, social sciences, social security, and basically just how things work in Norway. And this one costs 16,000 kroner, and it's 26,000 kroner for nurses, pharmacists, and doctors because there's an extra fee for drug handling. But don't worry, if you take some subjects in Oslomet, you can get exempted for this, and the program coordinator will be arranging this for you. And then lastly, you can just collect the documents that shows you have completed these requirements, and then just submit it back to Helsedirektoratet. After that, you get your authorization. So let's talk about the timeline. I submitted my papers to Helsedirektoratet in 2021. I waited 10 months for it, and then for 2022, I started processing my visa. And then it took them another 1 year to process this, but I recommend that as soon as you submit your papers to Helsedirektoratet, like a month or 2 after that, you start processing your visa right away because Helsedirektoratet will start counting the 3 years the moment you receive your decision letter. Then you can just submit your decision letter to UDI as an additional document. Then, once you arrive in Norway, you just enroll in the Norwegian class and extra courses. So since you will be in a student visa, when completing all of this, you can work part-time, up to 50% during school days and full-time during holidays and summer. So you can't work as a medtech yet, but if you're looking for a healthcare related job while you don't have authorization yet, you could apply as a laboratory technician. It's called laboratory techniker or laborant in Norwegian. Or you could also work as a phlebotomist, but again, Norwegian is essential here. So when I first arrived to Norway, I wasn't comfortable with my Norwegian yet, so I started working as a barista instead. And then later on, once I got comfortable, I worked as a lab tech. There are also international companies where you could apply, but part-time jobs are not common and it's really competitive. There is no agency that will sponsor you, unlike in the US. So all of that cost needs to come from your own pocket, which is quite a lot, honestly, and it can feel like a long road. But you need to remind yourself of the bigger picture, because Norway is a really nice country. You get good healthcare system, good public transport, free schools, good social welfare, and etc. Moving to Norway as a healthcare professional is definitely possible. It takes planning and patience. So in my next video, I'll dive into the specific steps on filling up the form on Helsedirektoratets website. So if you're considering this path, hit subscribe and stay tuned for more.